Welcome to a new video in my home automation series, and as you can see we are doing a big whole review kind of stuff here from Sonoff because fairly recently, like beginning of fall, end of summer, depending on how you look at it, a new Orb series of light switches were just released from Sonoff. And I would say these are like new products, but they are not entirely new products, because what we are seeing here is that Sonoff has designed a switch blade for some of their, small sort of like the extreme or the mini products. So they are packaged into a new product. So what you can see, well, I think you would see it better once I do the disassembly, is that, so for example, I have this blinds controller here, and then basically it is a switch plate with two buttons on it. But then behind the scenes, it is actually a RBS. Well, this is the Wi-Fi version of the RBS, and that one is the Zigbee version of the RBS, tucked inside and packaged into like a normal switch body. So they are able to reuse the products that we can purchase separately, and now you can purchase them into a a completely assembled switch if you like this circular design. You can buy these switch blades with the units installed in them. You can buy these extension switch blades, and you can buy extra switch blades as well if you want to install a device which is not delivered by these four models, but has the same form factor as the new Mini and Extreme products. You can just slide them in. So I think it is a smart reuse of the and repackaging of the existing products. I think it certainly helps, especially if you have issues, fitting a smart switch behind a, regular switch, because normally if you buy a regular switch, that would be sort of the same dimension. It would have the same, case at the back where you do install the wiring. And then, if you want to make it smart, you would have to fit an extra mini or extreme behind that. And sometimes, you don't have enough space, you have too much cables. So for these cases, this is an ideal replacement, because, I mean, if you are spending Sonoff anyway, you might as well just buy the whole switch blade. I guess it's it's a preference whether you actually like the design, but I think they are offering a lot of functionality here, because we have like a single channel switch. We have the RBS, or the the blind controller, which is technically dual channel. So you can use this as a light switch as well. I mean, it has arrows on it. That's probably the only giveaway that it was originally designed for blinds and stuff. And if you want to install more of these, obviously you can install two of them side by side, but that would take up more space than this type of plate where you can install them together and then, snap all the innards inside this frame. Probably the only drawback I can think of these products, as opposed to the traditional, M5 and the Touch or the TX products, is well, as I said, they only have a single gang, and basically that's like a dual gang version at the moment. Whereas if you buy, a TX or an M5, you can get 3 channels or 3 gang version as well. So it's really up to you. If you have a real need to get a 3 gang version, then obviously there is no offering in the Orb selection at the moment. So you can only do 1 or 2 gangs. But I mean, in a lot of places we are using 1 or 2 gangs switches anyway. And of course, the other limiting factor could be price. So I'm going to include a separate pricing sheet here, so which contains all the products, and you can gauge whether, how that price compares to if you would buy a switch and let's say a Mini L2 or a Mini RBS separately, because technically with this one, you are getting the smart switch and the switch blade at the same time. If you want to do it with your own switch, obviously you have to buy this separately. So you can consider how much this is going to be a saving for you if you go for this solution. And this review is going to be a little bit different from my previous reviews, because as I mentioned, the heart of these products is the the minis and the RBSs that I have reviewed previously. So I'm not going to go into the evening application, how it looks like, and how it performs, because it performs exactly the same. Here the review is more about this packaging and how you can combine them. So if you want the review of the individual products, then you will find them in my channel anyway. So let's look at the lineup now. As you can see, we have products that are packaged in this blue box, and they use the Wi-Fi version of the Mini or the RBS, and they support Matter as well. So you see the Matter logo on both of them. And so we have the Orb MW1, which is a single gang switch, and we have the Orb RBS as well. And if you turn them over, you can actually see that this one is actually using the Mini R4M. That's the switch in the but you know, at the heart of it. And this one is using the Mini RBS for the actual controller. And then we have two additional products, or two more products, which are, well, because of the orange, you can tell that these are the Zigbee versions. So we have the Zigbee W1L and the Zigbee RBS. And this one uses the Zigbee RBS. So that's, again, something that I've reviewed previously. And this one specifically uses the Mini L2. And that is the version which doesn't require a live wire. So actually that's nice, because if you want to retrofit this entire switch to replace an old switch in a house which were wired the old way, you won't have neutral wire. But for all the other options, you need the the neutral wire, because there is no versions of those switches without the live wire. And of course, the external, shell for the Zigbee versions and the Wi-Fi or Matter versions, they are exactly the same and of course interchangeable. And then besides this, we are getting two more plates, like basically two gang or two switch plate and a free switch plate. So if you want, you can replace this front bezel and then click those switches into these positions. And of course, these would take up less space. So this frame takes up less space than two individual switches, and obviously three of them would take up a lot less space than the frame. So that's how you would be able to save space. And obviously if you have the wall sockets which accommodate two or three switches, then they usually work with these frames anyway. And on top of these, you can go onto Sonoff website. If you go onto any of these Sonoff products, then you will find a link to a third-party site where you can also download 3D prints, or you can download them to print yourself, or you can, I think for some of the versions, you can order themselves, because you can get inserts to these holes which go behind and snap into these places. And you can attach some of the existing Zigbee products. For example, this temperature sensor, or this temperature sensor, or actually these Zigbee buttons. They have almost the same size as this slot. It even works with this motion sensor. Obviously, this is going to sit more in the socket. And I mean, you can even use this temperature sensor as well, which doesn't have a screen. So you can get these 3D printable adapters which go into the bag. So obviously it's not going to show, and they work with magnets, because all these products can be held on with a magnet. So you can use them to just keep them in place, and you can use these frames to hold some of these temperature sensors as well. I think these are great additions, because I mean, now if you really want, you can even use Zigbee buttons instead of these light switches. If, let's say, the ones that you want to operate is far away, so you wouldn't need to wire it anyway. The motion sensor is also a good example, because then you don't have to find a separate place. The light switch is usually next to the door where you enter, and then it would trigger the motion sensor as well. So I think it's these are good options to kit these switch frames out and use it for something else other than what we usually use for. And just want to show you the example. So if you select the frame and then you start looking at the pictures, you can see the examples how they they envisage these, for example, sensors to be included in the switch. And I think there's no more examples here. And of course, as you can see here, I mean, the orientation doesn't really matter, so you can have these frames vertically or horizontally as well. And you see some examples. So you can use the 3 frame for 2 switches and the temperature and humidity sensor. And that's where you can get into the 3D model gallery. So if you click here, then it takes you to MakerWord. So this is completely separate from Sonoff, and you can either order some of these, you can see Maker Supply here, or you can just download the 3D prints. It is integrated with Bamboo Lab to import the models directly into Bamboo Lab if you have a Bamboo Lab printer, but you can also download the SDR files if you want to print it yourself. So you can see a couple of examples here how they are using the temperature sensors, that's the motion sensor, that's the button, and there is even an option to print your own frame so you can fit like a socket. But I mean, the only reason I wouldn't do that because I wouldn't be able to replicate the injection molded aesthetic of this one, so that would probably stand out. So I do prefer these options here. And one more thing which I didn't actually show you in the up close is that these switch faces have this round interface in the middle, so they look exactly the same for the 1 gang or a 2 gang version or the RBS. There is a Sonoff printing on the side, and as you can see, this the 1 gang is like slanted on one side, so that I think it would make sense that that goes to the bottom, and it has a very fine movement, as you can see. Yeah, so that's 1 gang, and the RBS is very same. I mean, in fact, you can swap the front plate because the middle cutout is exactly the same, and now it has these 2 small switches, and again you can press it, you can click it. They have the same feeling as the M5 switches, so there is no difference in there. Okay, so for the assembly demonstration, I'm going to use the 2 Zigbee version. I'm taking them apart and going to show you how they work. So first of all, I mean, as you can see, the switch has a sort of like an outer frame, and then it has an inner frame, and then it also has this bracket which holds the extra smart switch in place. And we can just easily disassemble this. I mean, if I put a screwdriver here, maybe I don't even need a screwdriver. Yeah, if you just pull this apart, then this front face comes up, and then actually if I bring one of the mounting plates, so that's how you can snap this in if you want to reuse this switch in a frame. So again, very easy. I mean, obviously once you buy this and once you buy the frame, then this becomes unused. Unfortunately, you can't buy, well, I mean, unfortunately or not, you can't buy, these parts without that. So that will become unused at some point. Okay, so that's how you remove the frame. And of course, once you remove the frame, you have access to the screws, so you can put it on the wall. And then once it's mounted on the wall, you can just snap on the that front. And as far as I can tell, I mean, you can almost put it in any direction, but there is like a Sonoff printing here. So that basically tells you that it should be mounted like that. So that's facing down. And also there are some dimples here. So those would line up with the, the slots here. So, mounting it 90 degrees, it's not going to snap correctly. So you have to mount where those dimples and the divots line up. I'm not sure how they're called. Okay, so that's how you remove the frame. Let me put this out of the way so we don't going to knock it. And then what you can also do is you can also remove these outer casing. Again, you don't have to. If you buy these products, then everything becomes assembled. So you only need to remove the front face to access the screws, and you also have access to the cables and the terminals as well. You don't have access to some of the terminals because those are the switch terminals that are routed inside to the actual physical switch. So I'm going to disassemble it even further just to show you the innards. But again, as I said, you don't really have to do this. And there are some clips inside that you can just, oops, I didn't show you the details. So you can press these clips in. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 clips. And then once you do that, then this comes off, which basically protects the, the Sonoff. And as I said, they are using the, the just whatever Sonoff that you can, get. I mean, this is the Mini L2. Yep. So obviously, as you can see, it has, 2 switch contacts, and they are, as you can see, internally connected to the switch itself. So you only have to connect the live in and the live out in this case. And of course, you can disassemble this as well if you want to. and that's the actual switch. And if you buy that empty enclosure, then obviously this will be missing from it. So if you already have an L1, you can just, you know, slide it in. You can secure the screws and then push on this cover plate. And it is assembled. So everything is modular, and yeah, it's easy to use. And only the wires that you need to wire, or only the terminals that you need to wire in, are exposed. Everything else is hidden. I think I screwed it. You have access to the screws here, so I think it's better if you place it first, and then you can align it with these enclosure, and then you can fasten the screws. That's cool. And again, you know, once everything is done, then you just click the whole thing together, and now it is complete. Let me do the same with the RBS as well. So push it just to release. And here the connection is a slightly bit different, because the live terminal is blocked because you connect the live here, because the live also needs to be routed to the switches. So instead of having extra wires here, you can just put the live here, the neutral here, and then the two directions that go to the blind motor goes in here. So yeah, and of course, you know, this, as I said, this can be used as a dual gang switch as well. You just have to replace the RBS with a different module. And I'm trying to remember if we have a mini with a dual output, and I don't remember it from the top of my head, so I have to look it up. But again, you pry these small tabs, and you can lift the top, and as you can see, this is just a regular mini RBS. And again, the up-down buttons are already connected in, and then the that terminal is connected to live and internally connected into the switch as well. Yep, I'm not going to take this away because, well, it's the same stuff. So push back and push this one back as well. Where is the Sonoff logo? Like that. And that's done. And if I look at the other model, so that would almost be the same. So from the Wi-Fi version, there is no neutral wire, or no neutral wire version. So the connections are different. You have access to two neutral connections, the live in and the live out. But again, some of the other cables are internally routed, so you can see some. And for the two RBS version, they are literally the same. I think the only difference between these two models is that the the printing on it is different, because the internal module is different, and oh yeah, no, sorry, they do have the neutral connection in a slightly different place, because the neutral terminal on these models are in a slightly different place. Or no, they are not. Sorry, it was just a parallax from the camera. So they are, virtually the same moldings. They just have different text, because this by default contains the mini RBS, and this one contains the mini Zigbee RBS. Yeah, but those two models have the same connection layout. So in that respect, they don't really differ from each other. And then there are two other products which I haven't mentioned here, because you can buy these single gang switch and also the these dual gang switch without the Sonoff the smart switch in it. So if you already have a smart switch that you want to use it for, or you just want to use a slightly different model, which is usually sold with let's say these four products, then again you can just purchase the enclosure. And there is a separate enclosure for, with or without neutral version, because they have a different number of cutout here in this frame, but otherwise they are the same. And we are going to see shortly how these switch plates are made of and what components they use. And again, just one last word about the empty enclosure, since I mentioned previously. I just wanted to show you here because it's easier to visually conceptualize how it works. And these are actually 4 different products, because you have the 1 gang, or 3 different products. We have the 1 gang version and the 2 gang version. But from the 1 gang version, you have the version which does not have a neutral wire, and the one which has the neutral wire connection. So you have seen how I showed you in the Zigbee and the Wi-Fi model that they are slightly different, because the inside unit is slightly different as well. And then you can also see all the different products that can fit inside. So for example, the Mini L2, that's the one that my Zigbee version was provided. But if you want the version which has the neutral wire, then obviously there is the the Mini R4 Wi-Fi version, or I think there is a Zigbee version, so Zigbee Mini R2. You can use that as well, but then you just need the enclosure which has the neutral connection. And if I scroll down, you can see that it's the same innards, the faceplate and the big mounting plate and the bracket. So you are only getting just the plastics, and you can just slide in whatever module that you already pre-owned, or a slightly different module that you purchase separately. And you can see the 2 different versions: the one which needs no neutral wire, and the other one which needs the neutral wire. And here again, they are stating how smaller these units, the Fusion product is, compared to a regular switch and a Mini, which all needs to fit in the wall box. And if you look at the listing, you can also see which products can be used for either of the models. So obviously there is only one which doesn't require a neutral, so that's the Zigbee Mini L2, which is installed in that product that I reviewed you, that I showed you previously. But the one which has the neutral wire, you can choose from 4 different models. And the shutter version is again similar. So you have, similar in that you are getting all the plastic pieces. There is no neutral wire version here. And then, yeah, you can see that what you can use the Mini RBS, and there is a new product which is coming soon. We don't know anything about that. Yeah, but the wiring is the same and the concept is the same. Yeah, there is less choice here, but I would assume that maybe there will be a Mini RBS style switch coming through, which is just going to be like a 2-gang switch. So you can use it to, control 2 lights, which I think is going to be a welcome addition as well. And this pretty much concludes my review of this Sonoff Fusion series switches. I hope that really helps you understand how this is, different, but on the same time is same as the existing Sonoff products that we have seen on this channel and then reviewed. Because, I mean, as I mentioned, essentially this is just a new packaging of the existing products, and I would assume that there will be some new products which could be fitted in these, Fusion switch plates. I think there is a good variety of options how you can use these, the different, Zigbee and Wi-Fi Matter versions, and the different, 2-gang and the 3-gang frames, not to mention then the optionally 3D printable accessories where you can also incorporate some of the Zigbee sensors and buttons into these frames. So hopefully there will be new products available that could be reused for the Fusion series in the future. But these are the ones that are available at the moment. If you are interested in any of these products, there are going to be affiliated links down in the video description below. But I think that's all going to be for today. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you in the next video.